Hi everyone, welcome to Shared Legacy Farms. This is Corinna Bench and I am coming live from my living room in Elmore, Ohio. And today I am going to be talking to you guys about how to research local CSAs, how to find the CSAs in your area, and then how to compare them, what factors and questions you should be asking as you look at the different ones. So I'm hoping this is going to be really valuable for you no matter where you are in the country. If you're tuning in, I would love to know where you are. So if you're local around Toledo or if you're coming from somewhere else, I would love it if you would just put that in the comments. So my husband, actually Farmer Kurt, say hi.
Hi folks.
He's behind the camera and he will be taking your questions, letting me know if you have a question. And he and I have been doing CSA farms for the farming method for about 10 years now. We're actually entering our 10th season. And so we have, over the years, kind of gotten to know the questions that people have before they join a CSA. What is it that they're asking us a lot of? And I thought, you know what, let me put this project together, this tutorial together. It's almost going to be like a mini training that really walks you through the questions that you should be asking before you join a CSA and when you're researching them. So this is a very specific audience that I'm speaking to today. I'm going to be talking to people who know they want to join a CSA, they're thinking about it, and now they want to know, where do I begin? How do I start the process of looking for the right one? Which one is the best one? What characteristics matter? And I'm going to walk you through all of that, and hopefully you can have a better place to start with. I actually have a freebie that I made for you where I put all these questions in a checklist for you. You can find that at sharedlegacyfarms.com/CSA research. And if you go there and ask for that, you'll get a one-page kind of PDF cheat sheet that'll be a checklist for you. And that way you don't have to write all this stuff down that I'm going to go through. So again, today's episode is meant to really help you figure out the questions that you should even be asking when you're researching CSAs. And my goal really is not necessarily to get you to join my CSA, although that would be nice, but my CSA might not be the best one for you. This really is designed for you to figure out what are those questions that you should be thinking about, what are the factors that will help you compare the different CSAs, so you get the one that's the right fit for you, because Kurt and I really want it to be a good fit for you as well. That makes it better on all of us. So if we can kind of have this conversation now and help you, it'll go a long way. Okay, so feel free to ask questions, jump in as we go along. I'm going to start out with, where do you find your CSA? So if you're in another state, not Ohio, how do you even locate them? I get this question a lot, especially when people have to leave our CSA because they move out of the state, and they say, where can I find the next one? There's a very easy response to this. The place is called localharvest.org. Go to localharvest.org and you'll be able to enter the zip code and search for a CSA, and it'll pop up all the CSAs within like a 20-mile radius or 25-mile radius. And that's at least a place to start. I will say that a lot of times the listings aren't always kept up to date. So just make sure that you check that information out on their actual websites, but it'll at least give you a place to start, and it'll show you what the farms are in your area. So localharvest.org, that's where you should go. Just about every CSA knows about that, and that's where they post their information first. So now I'm going to start going through the different factors that you need to think about, and I have listed them not necessarily in any order, but I did put the first one at the top because I think that is the most important thing for you to think about first. The first factor you want to consider is you want to look at the different pickup site options of the different CSAs. And there's a reason for that, because most CSAs, I would say that most CSAs probably have their own home farm as a pickup site, but a lot of them will offer other ones as well. And so if you can only come at a certain window of time, you need to know what those are. The pickup sites are usually set for the entire season. They don't change. They're usually a half hour to 2 hours long. And sometimes they'll be at the farmer's farm, sometimes they'll be at a farmer's market, or it might just be at a member's house. It could be anywhere, but those will be listed somewhere on the website of the CSA. And you want to check and see what they are and when they are, and then ask yourself, is that convenient for me? Am I going to be able to make that every single week? Now, there are some CSAs that do allow you to switch sites on a week-to-week basis if you're going to be out of town. So you can check into that. Some of them do that. The bigger ones tend to do that. Smaller ones don't always offer that option. Okay, so make sure that you check the locations and the pickup site times, and see if that works for you, because that's going to probably be a deal breaker and will eliminate some right away. The second thing you want to ask is, what types of shares do they offer? Do they have a wide variety? And CSAs are all over the map on this one. Some will just offer a vegetable package. Some will have add-ons like fruit or eggs or a chicken share or a beef share, or we do like coffee and cheese. I mean, it's all over the place. And so if you're the kind of person that likes the idea of having lots of options and variety in a kind of a one-stop shop experience, then that's going to rise to the top for you as you consider the different factors in your CSA options. And so just ask yourself that question: what are the different CSA shares that they offer? And then see if the ones that you really need to have are the ones that they indeed offer. Okay, so number 3, moving on to number 3, is cost. Of course, we're going to talk about cost, and you should look at cost. This is probably one of the most important things, frankly, that customers look at. And as you look at the cost and compare them between the CSAs, I want you to pay attention to a couple of things, because you want to first of all pay attention to the size of the share. And so it's kind of difficult between farms to kind of figure out what is the standard. Are they all the same? They have different names. So there's things like half shares, full shares, standard shares. They have fall shares, spring shares. And how do you know how much is what and which ones are equal? So you really need to kind of investigate on the websites and figure out what's the portion size, and try to figure out between the CSAs which ones are, at least portion size, the same. And then I always tell people a common question that we get is, hey, which CSA share should I get? Should I get the half share or the full share? What should I start with? And I think a good rule of thumb, if you're just beginning, unless you know that you are a huge family and you are crazy good at eating vegetables, I would recommend that you start out with the smallest share possible and just work your way into it. A lot of farms will actually let you upgrade once you're in the system if you decide that you need more, but always start small. So to help you compare the costs, once you've figured out what kind of the standard size is between the different CSAs, then you want to look at the number of weeks that they offer this particular share. And this again is all over the map. In our case, we offer an 18-week season. Some will offer 20, some will offer 25. And then we've got different CSAs that will do like just a spring season and a summer season and a fall season, even a winter share. So you just want to see what the time length is, the time frame is, and then do some math so that you're comparing apples to apples and figure out what is the cost per week of the share. So that's probably the number that you're looking for, is to find out what are the size shares and then divide them by the number of weeks, and then you'll get your cost per week. Once you do that, you're going to be able to, you'll notice that some of the CSAs are more or less than the others. And if that's the case, you want to ask yourself why. Why would that be? Why is this particular CSA so much more or so much less? And so it's possible that one particular CSA might be offering extra features in their membership package, and that causes it to have extra value. So in our case at our farm, we offer a box of vegetables, but we also offer a private Facebook page, which has right now has like 300 members. They're the people in the actual CSA, and it's incredibly active. We have a person that's facilitating that, and this is a group of people that are supporting one another and coaching one another through their experience, helping themselves out when they're kind of running into walls. And so we consider that to be a really attractive and valuable feature of our program, and so our CSA share is a little bit higher. We also are offering a really intensive training program this year to our CSA members to teach them how to eat the food, and we're really excited about that. And so to us, that has, again, a lot of value, because we're not just giving vegetables, but we're really training people kind of in a life skill that they're going to be able to take with them forever, to be able to eat more vegetables without wasting food. So again, that has extra value. So that's part of the offer, and therefore the price is more. So you just want to ask yourself, when you see those different cost changes, you know, what might be the difference behind that, and really call and ask the farm and figure that out. Okay, so this is kind of a bonus one that isn't in the checklist, but it came up in one of my other Facebook Live trainings, and I thought it was a really good one. You want to ask yourself how many people are in their CSA. is this a small CSA or is this a giant CSA or a medium-sized one? Because that will be an indicator of a few things for you. So the really giant CSAs in like the thousands or 2000s, you just want to be aware that you're probably not going to have a really strong connection with the farmer in the giant CSAs. So it's not impossible, but it's going to be more difficult to really connect with that individual farmer just because there are so many more people that they have to connect with and manage with. And so they likely have a system in place where they have a team, or a staff that kind of acts as a pseudo farmer for them. So just be aware of that that's probably one of the side effects of a large CSA. There are also bonuses to being in a really large CSA. It's usually an indicator that it's a very well-run CSA, that the product is quite good, and that there will be, a nice variety of things in your box on a regular basis. So large size CSA is also a strength. Really, really small CSAs, sometimes that's an indication that the CSA is new or has just started. And so you just want to ask, hey, how much experience have you had, so that you can know that going in. And so those will be like, 10 or 20. But that also means you're going to get a lot of really good attention from the farmer if it's that small. So just be thinking about that as you're looking around, if that relationship with the farmer piece is important to you. Okay, the next thing is, this is number 4. What are the growing practices of the farm? Now, I have learned just by doing surveys of my customers that most people who sign up or who are interested in a CSA like the idea of supporting their local farm, of supporting sustainable agriculture, and they care about their growing practices. You don't find too many people who want to be in a CSA who don't care about how their food is grown. So the question is, how important are the farmers' growing practices to you? And I just want to real quick walk you through some of the labels that are out there. And you'll actually find these label designations a lot of times in the localharvest.org listing for the farms, because I know there's a place where we can check mark these labels. So conventional farms, that means that these are farms that use chemical herbicides and pesticides on their crops to help manage their fertility and their pest issues. If it says transition, that means that a farm is moving towards organic certification, organic practices, but there's a 5-year process where you have to kind of wait for the land to restore itself before you can get that seal. But that means that they are, I'm sorry, Kurt's holding up his fingers and he's saying 3. Sorry, it's a 3-year process before you can get that thumbs up from the USDA. But that means that in the meantime, they are practicing the organic practices. They just don't have the official seal yet. So you can feel good about the fact that they're doing it in the organic way. Then there's just a general kind of term of, hey, we're using organic practices, but we don't want to actually go through the rigmarole, frankly, of getting the USDA certification seal. And so just be aware that people who say that means they're farming organically. They just don't want to spend the money for the fee and all the paperwork and go through all the process to get the official green and white seal. And then finally, kind of the cream of the crop is the USDA certified organic seal. And that is on a farm, if that label is given to a farm if they meet all these requirements and all these standards, and file the paperwork, and they have inspectors come out every year and check up on things, and they have meticulous records. It's a big deal to actually go through that whole process. So just be aware that that's what those labels mean, and if that really matters to you, you'll want to ask your farmer, hey, what are your growing practices? I want to know where you're at with that, because for some people, it's just black and white, like no chemicals on the bad list, period. And for some people, that's not such a big deal. And so I don't know where you fall on that spectrum, but that's a question that's probably important to some of you. So our farm is USDA certified organic, and that's just kind of a commitment that we've made moving forward. So we do have an inspector that comes out here every year, just so you know. So I can't tell you which one is better or best. That's ultimately your judgment call. But definitely ask that question. Do we have any questions yet, Farmer Kurt?
Nope. Just want to say hi to Miss Michelle Weber. She says, Corinna, you are an awesome wealth of knowledge.
Oh, Michelle. So glad you're with us. So the next one is customer choice. This is a really, really big one. Do you get to decide what goes into your share every week? So CSAs differ on this, on how they disperse their product to you. And there are some that are going to decide for you. They're going to decide everything that goes into your box. They kind of come in to the season with a plan and a general guideline for every week. They sort of know what they want to have in the box, and then they plan for that and they grow it. And hopefully, if Mother Nature goes according to plan, all those things will be ready at the right time. So some CSAs, however, will give you all the choice. It might be like a buy down CSA where you put a certain amount of money in and then you show up to the pickup site and they have all the items there, kind of like a farmer's market, and then you get to pick out the stuff that you want and to a certain dollar amount, and then that's all you can take for the week. Some will kind of do a mix where you'll get a core box, and then they'll have sort of a mishmash of other items, and they'll say, pick 5 out of these 10 things to supplement your box with, and you can have some choice there. So they're kind of all over the map. I would say that a lot of times, well, I don't even know if this is true. I was going to say that I would assume that the bigger CSAs probably offer more of those buy down options, but you just want to look into that. I don't think that's an option in any of the CSAs in the Toledo area, but I know that it is around the country. So take a look at that. If it's important for you to be able to decide what you want every week and what you're going to cook with, then that's an important thing, and this factor may rise to the top for you as you select the different CSAs. I know choice is a really nice feature. Okay, so our farm actually offers a pre-packed box, but we do offer an extras table, so you can, there's usually like 5 or 6 different things that you can then add in as your choice if you'd like to. And a lot of times we'll put things on the extras table that may not be as popular, like cilantro or eggplant or beets. You'll have the things that are not always big drivers of the box. So, okay, the next one. This is a really big one because I think that this particular factor is sort of a deal breaker for whether or not a person ends up rejoining the second year. Does the CSA offer training and help you learn how to use your produce? So CSAs are primarily responsible for growing your food and being your farmer, right? Producing the product for you. But I think that more and more CSAs are also trying to get better at equipping you to actually use the box. So it's pretty standard for just about every CSA to, at the very least, offer you recipes that go along with the product that you happen to get that week. But I think that it's also true, and you should know this going in if you're a rookie, that CSA rookies will hit a wall after like week 4 where they start to just get overwhelmed by the stuff in their box. What is this? I don't know what to make with this. And the initial like fun of the experience starts to wear off as you start to struggle with keeping up and staying creative in the kitchen. And so find out if your CSA farmers or staff are really intentional about helping you learn how to use your box. So I know in our case, this is something that we have made a real strong commitment to this season, because I began to sense that this was becoming a deal breaker for our CSA members. How do you store things? Teaching people how to store things. How do you what are some common vegetable exit strategies? Do you know how to make vegetable stock with your leftovers and your tops of your carrots and your onion peels? Teaching things like that goes a long way to helping people get better and more masterful in the kitchen. So they're not just getting a box of vegetables, but they're also getting the training and the coaching behind it so that they can actually grow as a chef in their kitchen and feel more confident. So I think that's a really key piece. We also have a Facebook page. We'll talk about that later on with the social media presence. But our private Facebook page is another place where we can get coaching from our co-members, and they can all help one another get better at eating the food. So I know we're really excited about adding this piece into our CSA this year in a really strong way. And other CSAs that do this well, I think are going to have their customers have just a great experience, because it's not just, hey, throwing a bunch of vegetables at you, but hey, we're going to walk alongside you and be a guide for you to teach you how to eat this. So find out what kind of education and training and support the CSA offers. I think that's a really key piece for having a good experience, especially your first year. All right, you guys still with me? I have a few more left. I know this is a lot, but these are really important. We're going through questions. If you are researching CSAs, these are the factors that you should be thinking about if you're thinking about joining.
Just want to say hi to Miss Patty Baker, Michelle Perkins, and Grandma Hale for joining.
Hey guys, good to see you. If there's anything that, as I go through these, if you have a question or if you have a comment, or you really agree with something, just shout it out in the comments, and we will make sure we say something. Kurt is watching those comments like a hawk. I love it. Okay, the next one is to take a look at the farm's online presence. This is becoming, I think, more and more important nowadays with so many people on Facebook or on social media. First of all, just check out their websites and see if they offer any special resources or features there. Do they have a regular blog where you can, learn more things, where they offer training? Do they have PDFs that you can download? I know a lot of CSAs like to offer like a harvest calendar that will show you what a typical box is going to look like on week 1 or week 2 or week 3. What kind of support do they have there on their online website? Do they offer recipes on their website? Now, just a word about websites. Farmers are not necessarily known for having superstar websites. That's because they are exceptionally skilled at growing food, not necessarily exceptionally skilled at technology. So go easy on them if it doesn't super wow you. But it's a place that you can go to kind of get a sense of the feel of the farm and what their brand is. So I would definitely check that out. Also see if they have a Facebook page. I almost feel like this is more important than a website these days. A lot of times you'll be able to see images of their farm there, some of the people that work there, and it'll give you a sense of kind of getting to know them. See if you have a connection with the vibe that they give off there. Do they have a private Facebook page as part of their membership fee? And how well is it run? Some CSAs are starting to do this. I know that ours does. A private page is different than the business fan page, because the private page is where, in our case, where we kind of give our customers special access to us. Kurt and I are going to be showing up a lot in Facebook Live tutorials. This is the place where farmers would do their cooking demonstrations or their live unboxings. They unbox the produce every week and kind of walk the customers through, hey, this is what this is, let's help you identify it, and they give suggestions for how to use it, how to store it, and any other of the tutorial pieces, like helping people master the CSA way, teaching those vegetable exit strategies. All that kind of stuff can be done inside a private group. So for some people, having that strong social media presence is really important. I think since so many of us today are so connected on social media, we really value the ability to go and check out and see what our farmer's doing today, what's happening over there on my farm. And it just allows us a chance to feel like we're engaging and connecting with our personal farmer, right? So you may find yourself, looking over at that other CSA who does such a good job at it and kind of wishing that yours did it. So, just ask yourself this question if this is important to you. It may just be kind of a nice bonus feature and not a super deal breaker, but, just ask yourself. Then there's kind of this category that I called extra features that you want to think about. This is sort of my catch-all. Every CSA is going to have its strength, and so this is kind of hard to figure out because CSAs don't all, spell out every single feature. A lot of times when you go onto the website and you just find out what does a share look like, they'll just talk about you're getting a box of vegetables and you're getting a newsletter, but they may not kind of spell out all the other features and bonuses that come along with it. They don't necessarily think about them as extras in their offer. But you want to ask things like this: how well are they going to communicate with you? Are they known for having really good customer service, for being nice people? Do they let you know what's coming each week? I mean, are they good at communicating? Do they give you a newsletter? Do they give you recipes? Do they have farm events for the kiddos? A lot of CSAs will do that, and that's really fun. If you have little kids and those farm events are free, it's a great way for you to come out and give your kids an experience of the farm and see how vegetables are grown. That can be really valuable to you. Do they offer other kinds of tag-on shares, like a Thanksgiving share or a winter share that you get first dibs at because you're already a member. So kind of look into that and see what some of those additional pieces might be. I know we also offer like a chicken soup bundle that is offered just to our customers first, and then we open it up to the outside world. This next one is big. Do they offer you the chance to switch your pickup site? Remember, we talked about that being a really key factor, probably the first one you should think about. Some CSAs will let you switch from week to week. Some will only let you do it a couple times. Some are hard line, like, no, it's too complicated to switch the system around every week. We run our machine, you know, it's a well-oiled machine. We can't have changes. So you just need to know the answer to that question. If you travel a lot, you know, that might be something that tips the scales one way or another for you. Same thing, like what happens when you miss your box? Will they give you a credit? And I mean, there are CSAs that do that will give you a credit and you can just add on at the end of the season. Ask those questions. Will they save my box for me, or what happens to it? So all kinds of things like that you should ask, bonus features that you just kind of want to run through. That was kind of my catch-all category. All right, we're coming close to the end here. Hang with me. The next one has to do with payment. What's the payment plan and what's the refund policy? This can be a deal breaker for some people depending on what your cash flow system is like. So you should definitely ask this question. Most CSAs will require that you pay some kind of a deposit on the front end as an act of good faith. And this helps the farmer, just so you know, helps us avoid having to take out costly operating loans in the front season to cover our front season costs. But payment plans will differ from farm to farm. So some will offer like 50% down when you sign up, and then 50% is due at the beginning of the season. Some will let you split the payments up in monthly payments until the season starts. Some will actually not charge you until the week that it's dispersed, and your credit card will get debited every week, depending on whether you picked up the box or not. Those are usually the really big CSAs. So you just want to ask that question: how does this work? In our case, we ask for 50% down and 50% due on June 1st, but we're also flexible. People can't quite do that. We're like, sure, as long as it's here by June 1st, we work it out. So it just really depends. Payment methods also vary. So most farms will offer credit card or cash or bank check or just checks. I will just say that keep in mind if the farm offers credit card and check, it's always better for the farmer if you send a check, because there's a 2 to 3% fee that the farmer has to pay every time the debit card is used or the credit card is used. And in our case, for a $385 product, that's like $8 in fees. That's a chunk of change if like 40% of the people do that. So if it's not a big deal, try to use the check option. And then also find out what their refund policy is, because CSA is not always a good fit for everyone. Once they start, they realize, man, this is not what I thought it was going to be, and sometimes you have buyer's remorse and you want to get out of the arrangement. And it's good to know on the front end if that is even going to be an option. A lot of times it's not. A lot of times CSA farmers kind of make a commitment with you. They're like, I'm holding this spot for you. I said no to other people, and I'm counting on this income to live, and you have to see it through. Some farms will allow you to leave, and they'll prorate, like we do that. We prorate if you have to take off. We do ask that you give it a good 5 weeks, but we do prorate. And so some farms will do that. And don't be mad if they don't, because again, remember, it's hard for a farmer if a whole bunch of people back out in the middle of the season, or if a weather event happens and everybody just decides to bail. Well, that's not having the farmers back. And so, but again, if a CSA has a lot, like a wait list, and they can fill those spots in, then a lot of times they're willing to give you that refund. Okay, I don't think that there are any CSAs in the Toledo area that do this next one, but ask about a work requirement. Is there some kind of a work requirement for you to get a share? Because some CSAs will let you come and volunteer for a certain amount of hours, and then you can get a discount off your box. Some will say you got to come out, here's the price. It's a lot lower than other area CSAs. Here's the price for a share, but you got to come out and harvest it all, and we'll show you where to go and what to take and give you instructions, but you're doing all the harvesting. And there are families that really, really like that. They like to take their kids out and have that experience. And some will like pack the bulk of your box, but they'll say, hey, if you want green beans or peas or berries, you got to come and pick them yourself. And a lot of times that's done because those are real high labor and highly intensive crops to harvest. And so farmers just don't have the time to get that in for, a 500-600 member CSA. So they'll just say, we'll do everything except that, and you got to, here are the rows, go pick a quart of beans yourself. So just ask yourself that if that sounds fun. You should also know that there's often opportunities for work shares where you can barter your time, and in return you would get a share of vegetables. I know our farm does that. That's how we actually harvest the vegetables for our CSA. We have a harvest crew of about 9 people for each night, and they make a commitment to us to work for us for 5 hours a week, and in return they get a half share and a fruit share. So that's we interview people. It's a pretty intensive application process because we have to train them and we ask for them to make a real commitment. But there are farms that do that, and that could be another option for you. Okay, this one, I have one more bonus one, and then we're going to wrap up. So this was brought up in my private Facebook group. Someone asked this question. I thought it was a really good one. You might want to ask the farm, how much of the share that I'm getting do you actually grow yourself? So in the world of CSA, there is something called the buy-in. And let me explain what a buy-in is. If a farmer cannot grow the crop themselves on their farm for whatever the reason, then they go to another farm and they ask, hey, do you have any cauliflower? Can I buy in 400 heads at this price? And then they use that and supplement it and put it in the share. That is actually a pretty common occurrence. Would you say that, Kurt, that happens a lot?
Yep.
And the reason for that is that it's unrealistic to expect every farmer's soil to be able to grow absolutely every product and every crop. There is some ground just does not grow garlic well, and some does not grow cucumbers well, or whatever. So farmers tend to become known for being strong in a particular area.
Their skill level too.
Yeah, and their skill level. Some crops are really just hard to grow or hard to cultivate or whatever. And so, rather than kill themselves as farmers trying to become aces at growing absolutely everything, we kind of lean on each other in those areas where we're not strong. So I know for our farm, we do have a few crops this year that we're planning on buying in, like green beans, for example. We'll grow a few of the fun green beans for the market, but we're not growing a ton for the CSA. It's just way too labor intensive for us to be picking green beans for 400 people every week. And so we'll buy that in from an certified organic farm that we have a partnership with 1 or 2 times this season. And they've got a special mechanical harvester that can do that in just like an hour, which just makes sense. And that's a cost that we're willing to incur on our end. So, if that matters to you, if you want your farmer to be giving, all the stuff from your box to be coming from that farm, ask that question. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find a farm that does that. But, if you want to know, hey, it's got to be at least 50, 60, 70%, you just kind of ask that question. Some of the really big, giant farms, CSA farms, kind of work in a consortium with other farmers, and they pull from multiple farms. So there isn't necessarily one guy who's your farmer. It's several farmers that are working together to provide the box for you. So just go into that knowing that, right? You want to be fully transparent and ask that question if that matters to you. So, Kurt, how much would you say we buy in? It's probably all of our sweet corn that's the one non-organic product that we grow. And it's not actually put into the box itself because it's not organic. We put that on the extras table and you have to pack it yourself. But that's a hybrid. From our parents.
Non-GMO.
It's non-GMO, but it's hybrid, and it comes from our parents, the benches. But besides the corn, it's very little, right? It's going to be
probably 6 or 7 times out of the year we probably do something. 6
or 7 times. So that's really, really low. So let's move on to the last one, which is in some ways the most important. How good is the quality of the product? How does the food taste? Does it last long? Is it a quality product? And I think that's probably the one that should trump everything else. And word gets around, if you want to find out, well, what do you get in the box? Is it a good quality box every week? try to find somebody that's in the CSA or who's been in a CSA, and you can ask them that. Another way to figure this out is to go and Google the farm. Look at their Google reviews, go to their Facebook page and read their reviews, and you might be able to get a sense there of what people's experience has been. The best way to find this out, of course, is if you know somebody who is in that CSA and you can kind of step in for them when they're gone on vacation for a week and take their box for them. You can try it out. That's a really great way, and I know a lot of the customers that we get tell me that they actually tried out a box from a friend and were able to experience it that way and test it and see if they thought it was going to work out for them. Wow, okay, so that was a marathon. I'm like impressed if you're still with me, but hopefully I think this is some really good stuff. If you're in the market for looking for a CSA, those are some really good places to start, some questions to ask, and I hope that I was a helpful guide for you as you walk through this process. Again, it doesn't have to be my CSA. I want this to be a good fit, so you need to figure out which of these factors rise to the top for you, what are the most important as you make this decision. If you didn't have a chance to write them down and you would appreciate having them all in one place, you can go to our website, you can download our freebie, and you can find that at sharedlegacyfarms.com/CSA research. sharedlegacyfarms.com/CSA research, and you'll be able to download that checklist of the questions right there, and then use that when you're researching. And remember, localharvest.org is the place to go to find all the area CSAs. I have one more thing to tell you about. If you are interested in thinking about CSA, you're still not quite sure you're ready to do it, I have created a private Facebook page for people who are thinking about this. They want to do some more investigation, they want to talk with a farmer, they want to talk to other people who are thinking about it. This Facebook page is a place that you can access for free. It's on facebook.com/groups/exploring CSA. Just go there and request access, and I'll let you in. And it's going to be in existence for 60 days. It's a private pop-up Facebook group. It's only short term, and we'll be going through a lot of videos like this and training where we're going to be talking about the questions that you need to know before you sign up, so you can feel comfortable about it. The next video that I'm going to be doing in that private group is the 6 reasons why people don't renew their CSA if they decide not to renew. I think that's a really helpful topic to talk about, so if you're curious for that, definitely join that private group, and you can hear that in a few days on the other side. So facebook.com/groups/exploring CSA. So thanks for all of you who stayed through to the end. If you thought this was helpful, please share it with someone who might be thinking about CSA. No matter where they live in the country, this is good information. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining, Kendra. See y'all later.
Bye.